If you're not happy with the life that you have now, if you do not enjoy the life you are currently living, here's a step-by-step plan on how you can actually do that and find true happiness and enjoyment with anything and everything you want to currently do. So let's start. First, this right here is called the wheel of life or the circle of experiences. This is basically a sum up of a lot of the things that encompass your life to figure out first where you are and then how ultimately to get to where you want to be. It's going to take a lot of accountability, so let's get into it. The first one, home environment. So what is your home environment like? I always ask people, when you come home and when you think about home, that's why I would say, what is your home environment like, right? Because there's a rating of 1 through 10. So that's why I want you to get a sense of 1 through 10. How do these things make you feel? When you come home, are you the kind of person that stays in a car for 45 minutes because you're anxious about getting inside of the house? Are you the kind of individual that can't wait to leave the house? Or when you get home, do you feel like, I'm finally home. I'm finally here. Or are you scared to go inside because there's responsibilities that may have to happen, or there's things that happen at your home that make you feel not comfortable? Next one, financial. How are you financially? When the first of the month comes, when the bills come out, do you feel secure financially? Or are you the person that at the bar, you are checking your bank account to make sure you have enough money to get that shot? Be honest with yourself. Nutrition. How do you feel like you are nutrition-wise? Are you someone that tries to integrate, vegetables and fruit and things that are nutritious for you? Or do you feel like you eat a lot of microwavable foods that probably aren't nutritious for you, or a lot of fast food? Your career. How do you feel about your career? And one thing I want people to know, just because you're doing financially well does not mean you're doing career well. And this same thing is opposite. Just because you're doing career well does not mean you're doing financially well. A great example of this is myself. 2 years ago, I was making the most money I've made in my entire life. And I was doing very well financially. I probably would give myself an 8, right? It's a list 1 through 10. So I probably would give myself like an 8. I was making good money. But career-wise, I was at a 1. I was doing things that was making me money, but I wasn't doing anything to put me in direction of an actual career. And especially for younger people, one thing I want to tell you is invest in your career more than you invest in money. In the beginning, it's going to be hard. In the beginning, you're probably not going to make that much money. And when you first get out of college or you first get out of school, people always will want to convince you to get it the biggest role you can get and the most responsibilities. No, actually, you want things that don't require a lot out of you, in my opinion, that don't require a lot of expectation. Not because you're weak, not because you can't do it, but because what is the point of just starting out and trying to be the best? Like, that's my whole thing. I get trying to be the best at what you do, but just starting out in a role and trying to get the hardest role in the hardest position when you're first starting out because you want to go fast is a lot of times will put you in the wrong direction when all you're doing is chasing money, money, money. Sometimes you are that person that's like, you know what? I really want to be a writer. I really want to have a book, but you just graduated college and everybody telling you, hey, take that job at so-and-so and get into marketing, because they pay good money. You know you don't really want to get into marketing, but you're at a position where you're like, they pay good money. But that means career-wise, you're at a 0. You could be making financially, you're at an 8. But if you feel like this is not something I want to do long-term, this is not something I want to do, 5, 10 years, then career-wise, you're at a 0. So think about that when you're getting into jobs. Am I doing this job just because it's financially well? Or is it also putting me in a position to be career well, which eventually will get better finances? Joy. Joy is something that I think a lot of people don't really understand because it's different from happiness. I think happiness is an emotion that's sometimes triggered by other things, right? People can make you happy. Things can make you happy. But to have a sense of joy is something that you are just content. I think joy is synonymous with contentment. You have a joy about life. It doesn't mean you wake up every single day happy. It doesn't mean you wake up every single day like, oh, let's go. But there's a certain joy that you have about life. There's a certain way that you go about life in a sense of being like, I really feel a sense of happiness on a consistent basis. I really do feel content. And a lot of people, in my opinion, maybe it's because of social media, maybe it's because of the economy and so many other things. I feel like a lot of people don't currently have a lot of joy. I know it took me a long time to figure that one out. Physical activity, that's pretty self-explanatory. How often do you integrate physical activity into your life? The activity of movement. Education. So when it comes to education, I don't want you guys to think it's just school. A lot of times people think, oh, well, I'm not educated because I didn't go to school, or I'm educated because I went to school. I personally consider myself to be a very educated person, and I haven't been in school in years. But what do I consistently do? I consistently read books. I consistently listen to books. I consistently listen to podcasts. I'm integrating this one more, but trying to put myself in positions and areas where I'm kind of shy, or areas where I'm not the smartest person, or I don't really know about things a little bit more, like environments like that, which causes me to increase my education because now I'm learning about something. So when I think of education, I just think of newness, new experiences, new things that are getting you essentially more educated in a specific topic. So how do you feel like your education is? When is the last time you've been in a situation where you didn't know something and you learned something new? Home cooking. I think home cooking goes hand in hand with nutrition. Now, I know this one seems a little bit random, but I think this is something that in the beginning of the year, a lot of people say, I'm going to cook at home more, or on TikTok, we save all those cooking videos that we're never going to actually use. But I feel like home cooking, in my opinion, is something that once I started integrating, I noticed it as being a habit that helped other things as far as my health and also as far as my nutrition. So how well do you feel like you home cook? Do you feel like you could do a little bit more? Do you feel like you can, some people also need to possibly do a little bit less, right? Like, let's say you're like, okay, I'm somebody that wants to do more physical activity, but I don't have time because I'm always home cooking. That's what messed me up. Now I buy a lot of stuff where it's like the rice that I used to try to make rice from scratch all the time. Girl, now I buy the rice from Target, where all you gotta do is put it inside the water. It's like this cilantro lime rice. I love it. Boom, fast. I noticed I was trying so hard to home cook so much stuff and make all my sides from scratch. Mashed potatoes, you gotta boil them. You gotta mix them around. Actually, I need to start doing things that take less time here so I can put more time there. Next one, creativity. Creativity to me, a lot of times is synonymous with joy. I feel like a lot of people they don't have happiness, they don't have joy because they're not creative. And creativity can come from a plethora of things. It can come from the job that you have. It can come from the way that you dress. It can come from, possibly the music you listen to, I guess. Not really. Creativity is what you create. So probably not the music that you listen to, but the way you do things, maybe the way you do your hair, maybe the way you do your nails. I think creativity is so important because it's individuality. And I'm actually trying to get more out of my shell with creativity when it comes to social media. Even with this, like thinking of doing, this on a board came from a certain level of creativity, trying to be outside the box and think differently and do differently. And I think it's something that a lot of people need to hone in more because now we have social media. It's everywhere. So we're constantly hearing people's opinions. People don't like this. People don't like that. We constantly feel like we're judged even before we walk out of the house. Before you walk out of house and you have that new hairstyle, you already thought, well, 4 to 5 people are going to say about you before you even saw those 4 to 5 people. And so our creativity goes down because we don't want to be judged. We don't want to be ridiculed. So we try to do things like everybody else because we're like, okay, we're just going to fall in line so we're not noticed, right? Because if we look like everybody else, no one's going to notice us. So I think creativity has been something that I've been trying to increase more with the way that I dress, with even, maybe it's how you decorate your house, how you decorate your room, like just trying to do things that are more so you and you like, and you're outside of the box, I guess. Health is something that's very important. Health can sometimes go hand in hand with nutrition and home cooking, but not always. Because I lately this year have been very good on my home cooking and nutrition. But when I went to the doctor, my health was actually bad, right? Because there's just certain things that you just can't get from food, or not even you just can't get from food. It just the amount of food you would have to eat in a day to get all your daily supplements of all the vitamins that you need would probably not be able to happen. So when I went to the doctor, go to the doctor, look at your my chart, figure out what are things that you are deficient in, what are things that you need to increase, right? But I'm all about going to the doctor, doing your dentist appointments, going to your, women OBGYN appointments, your regular doctor's appointments, really having a sense of health. I feel like that's one of the things that a lot of people don't have, and it messes up so many other things. Like I didn't realize I knew I was anemic, but I didn't realize that my vitamin D levels and my iron was so low. And now I'm integrating foods and I'm integrating stuff that give me more energy. So I'm able to do things better, such as physical activity. I'm able to do things better, such as joy. And you get what I'm saying? But it's because I was so deficient in this, it bled into the other things. Another one, spirituality. how, you know, where are you spiritually right now, 1 through 10? Do you feel like you want to go to church more? Do you feel like you want to read your Bible more? Or whatever, you know, spiritual or religious faith that you practice, do you feel like you want to get into it more? And then relationships. Where are you with your relationships? And when I say relationships, I mean specifically the relationships that you choose to have. So just because you don't talk to your cousin on your dad's side doesn't mean you don't have good relationships. That girl is just shady and you don't like her, and that's cool. But if you choose to have relationships in your life, I'm also a big advocate of nurturing those relationships. Like, don't be that girl, no shade, no hate, but they get a boyfriend and all of a sudden she don't talk to her friends ever. Like, I get it. Now you have somebody knowing your life and he's more of a priority. So, you know, you might not talk to your friends as much, but don't be that girl that only call your friends, oh my gosh, guess what he did? You know, never talk to your mom all month. Soon as you need something, Mom, can you send me a couple dollars so I can pay for it? Don't be that person. If you choose to have relationships in your life, I get it. Relationships are not going to be the same from the start to the finish. I'm a big advocate of that. Things change, people change. But at the same time, if I choose to have someone in my life, people in my life, I choose to have a relationship with them, I think I equally so need to choose to nurture that relationship. So maybe I don't talk to her every single week like I used to, but hey, once every 2 weeks, hey, what's up, girl? How you doing? Or sending her a quick text or texting back in a group chat. Like, at least just trying to nurture the relationships that I choose to have in my life, I think are very important. Because some people will be like, yeah, my relationships are at a 9. No, relationship with your man is at a 9. Every other relationship is at a 1, girl. So technically, your relationships are really at like a 3. Okay. But yeah, so the whole point of this, I say that to say, is to figure out essentially where you are now. So I don't care if financially you want to be at a 10. I don't care if joy you want to be at a 10. I don't care where you want to be. Where are you now? And I always tell you on my videos, and this is like a breakdown. I've mentioned it in my videos before, but to figure out where you are, a big way is to look at your bank account and to look at your schedule. Right? To be honest with yourself. For some of these, you specifically can get that, especially from relationships, like how often do you talk to people, interact. Financial, definitely. Something like a My Chart or like something that can tell you about your health. That's a great one, you know, especially getting blood work done or whatever. Education wise, when's the last time you learned something? But for some of them, it's just a feeling, right? So maybe home environment. What's that feeling that you get? But then also sometimes walk inside your house. Every time you walk in your house, is it dirty? You possibly don't have a good home environment. You know, creativity. That's one that's more so of also a thought process one, right? It's not one you could just always write down and specifically find out, but thinking about those things, like, do I do things outside of the box? Do I feel like when I want to, when I go to the store to buy something, am I like, I don't know how this is going to look? Or am I more so like, you know what? I could possibly do something with this, right? So just being honest with yourself. So I'm going to create, at the end of the video, I'm going to show you guys how to create the actual spreadsheet for this, or how to actually get the spreadsheet for this. But obviously I just wrote this one. Like I said, for the first one, where are you now? And then for the second one, where do you want to be? So the reason why you aren't here where you want to be is because you haven't gotten there here. And this is just a diagram of your values. It's very imperative to figure out what your values are now and then figure out the values that you want to have. Honestly, you don't even have to figure out what your values are now. You can if you want to think about it. I've thought about it, but the whole point is the reason where you are in life is based upon your values. So the reason why you do not work out is because you do not value health and you do not value physical activity and you possibly don't value nutrition. And that's okay. Like, one thing I want you to understand is just because you were not born with a value or just because you don't have a value does not mean you can't integrate it into your life. And just because you do value something doesn't mean you can decrease it or you can't decrease it. Meaning maybe some of y'all are like, you know what? I focus so much on my career. I'm at a 10, right? My career is really good. I stay up all night. I do this, I do that. But that's messed up my relationships. That's messed up my home cooking. That's messed up my creativity, my nutrition, because I focus so much on my career. Okay, let's put that down, right? And let's figure out how we're going to increase everything else. You have to figure out from what do you value. So let me give you guys specific examples. A lot of people, if your career really, really driven, you probably also value achievement. A lot of people is a big one to value achievement because as a child, we're kind of not given care sometimes or love unless achievement happens. This is kind of a personal one, but I remember one time for me, I was in middle school and I'll never forget, we had a promotional ceremony or something like that. And there was this little boy there and he was a good, kid. He was good in school. And, he had got a lot of awards. And I think I only got like 2, maybe 3, but I didn't get too many. And I remember my grandma like going like, yeah, like cheering for him. And I'm like, why are you cheering for him? Like, why are you going? Like, she might even gave him a hug. She was going so hard for him. And I'm like, why? And she's like, cause he getting stuff. At least he getting stuff. And I think little things like that in life happen to us. And it made me feel like in my life, I'm not going to be celebrated. I'm not going to be loved. And I'm essentially not going to be cared about because I'm not achieving something. And so that's something a lot of people have. And so the idea of if you value achievements, which I think personally, I've learned it's not a good thing to value. It will make you make a lot of things that you truly want in life go down. I sacrifice relationships. I sacrifice creativity. I sacrifice education. So many things so I can achieve things. And for a lot of people, similar to me, it was financials. Like I said, 2 years ago, I was making so much money. I was doing all this other stuff. I was so unhappy. I was so low and I couldn't figure out why. But if I would have made this list, I would have been like, oh, that's why you're unhappy. You're so low on all these other things. And the only thing you're high on is finances. Of course, you're going to be unhappy. And so I want you to figure out, what are you trying to, what do you value, right? And what are you trying to value? Now, one thing I value is creativity for a plethora of reasons. But now, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, how I figured that out. But now I value creativity, right? Another thing a lot of people value, honesty. I'm not one to tell you to go out and start lying and all this other stuff, but a lot of people, in my opinion, value honesty way too much. I know some people that will tell you up and down about yourself, that always have a problem with something or whatever the case may be, but in their life, they're very low on a lot of these things, but they're quick to tell somebody else what they got going on and what they doing wrong and what this and what that. Why? Because they value honesty. And it's like, you should be valuing a lot more stuff than honesty. It's not saying you have to be dishonest, but at the same time, there's things that you probably should have above that. Another thing I currently value is gratitude. Like, I've had to be in places and spaces mentally where it's like, I have to have gratitude for what I'm currently going through, because I realized that's one thing that's unshakable. Like, no matter what I'm going through, no matter what I'm experiencing, if I have a sense of appreciating at least what I have, knowing that I want to get more, knowing that I'm going to go after more, for me personally, it's given me a sense of happiness. And I realize for some other people, it just, I honestly sometimes wish a lot of people had gratitude. Like, even the way I talk to people, even the way I do things, it's from a sense of gratitude. A quick example of this is, and this is no shade, just in case anybody see this is no shade, but me and my group of my friends went out for my friend's birthday last month. I went back home, and it was probably like 8 or 9 of us. We went out to like this bar area or whatever, and we were trying to go inside of like this bar / lounge place, and the security guard was like, it's packed. Mind you, it was already a lot of us. And he was like, it's packed. And a couple of the girls I was with us was kind of like, what? Like, what you mean it's packed? And you're not gonna let us in? Like, they kind of getting rowdy. And I'm like, oh, calm down, calm down. So then I start talking to someone. I'm like, hey, me and my friends, I don't even live out here. I live 5 hours away. I drove here from Baltimore. I literally leave tomorrow. If we can get inside, that would be great. Mind you, I didn't leave tomorrow, but gotta spice it up a little bit. And I just talked to him nicely. I'm like, hey, we're having a good night. We just really want to get in. It's our friend's birthday. And he let us in. And I say that to say, when I do things, I try to do things from a sense of, and now it's become a subconscious thought, but with gratitude. Like, if I'm so grateful I'm just grateful to be here. I'm not about to act rowdy. I'm not about to, hey, can I? Trust me, people like that more when you come from a sense of gratitude. Even with the things that I have now, when I think about my house, I try to think about it in gratitude. How would I treat a house that I'm grateful to have? My car, how would I treat a car that I'm grateful to have? And once you have a sense of gratitude, in my opinion, you care for things more. Because it's so easy to say, oh, if I had a nice car, I would always keep my car clean. No, you wouldn't. If I had a high-rise apartment, my apartment would always be clean. No, it wouldn't. Because you don't even value what you have now. You're not even grateful for what you have now. So that's one thing I've done. So I definitely recommend to figure out 3 to 4 things that you want to start valuing. And if you want to figure out, what do I want to value? What do I want to make more important for me? Ask yourself that. What do I want to start implementing more? What do I want to make more important in my life that I think will ultimately help adjust these and help me be better in these? Because you're already valuing things, whether you realize it or not. And you can spend the time figuring out what you value, yeah. But I think it's more imperative to figure out what do you want to value. And then, of course, eventually you'll see what you did value. But Personally, I feel like people value the wrong things. Another thing, public opinion. People value public opinion way too much. A lot of times that messes up your creativity, that messes up your joy, so much stuff because you're worried about what people think about you. Oh, well, are they going to say something if I post on social media? Oh, well, what are people going to say if I tell them I want to quit my job and I want to do this and I'm going to do that? You so worried about what other people thinking about you that you put that value so high that it's making you lower on the things that will actually make you happy. Because the thing I don't want you to forget is the second one you're supposed to create. The second wheel of life is the one that you're actually going towards. That's the one that you're telling yourself, once I get these things, closer to these things, that's how I'll be more content with the life that I have. And the whole point of this to have a specific box is to put these inside of here. So to put creativity, to put gratitude, to put accountability, right? Because this is the direction in which you want your new life to be. This is the direction you want your new life to go. It's simply like a compass. So when you are doing things and when you're questioning yourself about doing things, when you're asking yourself, hey, do I want to go out tonight with my friends? Hey, do I want to, go to the bar? Hey, do I want to go to work out? Hey, do I want to ask yourself, does this fall in line with the values that I have? Does this fall in line with the creativity, with the accountability, with the gratitude? Because you already know, a lot of times you know the steps that you want to have in your life, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's eating healthier, whether it's all these things, right? We already figured out the top. We already figured out where we want to go in our life. Then we need to figure out, this is essentially the mindset and the direction, the compass in which you want to go in. So ask yourself, does this fall in line with that? And I've had to do that for myself a lot too. And you start to notice why you're in the habit of why you're doing things. Because it's so easy for us to get into a life and get into a space and a place we don't want to get into and then not know why. And a lot of times too, I realized one thing I struggled with, we're going to stop talking about me, was accountability. Okay, that was a big one for me when it came to growing on social media and so many things, but it's because I didn't value that thing. So now when it comes to doing certain things, I think about my compass. Hey, do I want to buy these jeans or not? Does it go hand in hand with my creativity? You know what? It probably does. I kind of like them. That's probably why I'm looking at them. And I probably can try to create something with them. If not, 30 days, I can return them. Anyways, now let's go into the next one, your why. I think this is one of the most important ones. And it's what keeps you going, in my opinion, a lot harder than motivation. And honestly, it makes you realize, what do you truly want to do and what do you want to do what society wants you to do, in my opinion. So this is essentially a why ladder, they call it. And the whole point is to go down and figure out, why do you want to do this thing? So for example, one of the things that I valued, right? Because you want to figure out what your values are. Like I said, I valued independence, right? And it sounds good. It sounds good in hindsight. Your value independence. Why do I value independence? Well, I value independence because I want to be independent. Why do I want to be independent? Because I don't want to rely on nobody. Why do I not want to rely on nobody? Because people might not be there when I need them. Why will people not be there when I need them? Because people are, people are selfish, or people are this, or people are that. And I got down to the root of it. And it was so many whys I had to ask myself. And it's not just a one question thing. I don't want you guys to think, oh, as soon as the first time you do it. There were some times I'll be randomly just driving. I'm like, oh, that's why. You get what I'm saying? Like sometimes things would click. But one thing I realized with my independence, it came from a scarcity as a child. And I've talked about this in a lot of videos, but there was a scarcity that I had around needing people. And I was so afraid. It was a fear. It wasn't a sense of independence in this strong way I tried to put it. It was a fear that if I was not independent, people would not be there for me. And if people wouldn't be there for me, I would fail. And I realized I can't value independence because, going back to here, that valuation of independence was making me decrease on the things that would genuinely make me happy. Another one a lot of people like to say is finances. People will tell you up and down, yeah, I want to make money so I take care of my family. You are currently at a 2 in your relationships. Do you genuinely care about your family, or does that just sound good? For a lot of people, it sounds good, right? Figure out your why. Why do you care about your finances so much, right? If this is a new value that you want to have for yourself, why do you have to have courage so much? Why do you care so much about honesty? Like certain things I've realized in life, it doesn't mean I don't have to have them. But when I'm trying to build the life that I want to build, when I'm trying to go in the direction that I want to go into, there's certain things that I need to prioritize. You need to have a hierarchy of things, right? What's important for right now? Like I said before, it doesn't mean I'm never going to be honest. It doesn't mean I'm never going to have courage, but honesty is not really something right now that I need to prioritize. It's not something that I think is going to turn the lever and give me any more finances, any more nutrition, any more career. Courage right now, I personally, just where I'm in my life, I don't think it's going to increase my finances, my nutrition, my career, my home cooking. The things that I say I want to increase, you have to ask yourself what kind of values are actually going to help that thing. And then, like I said, have this why ladder. Why? Why is this going to work? Why do I want this thing? Why is this thing important to me? Because a lot of times, like I said, you get down to the bottom of it and you realize it's society. You realize that even with the things that you value now too, not just with the things you want to, but even sometimes too, like I said before, public opinion. I value people's opinion of me. Even so much so with certain things I question myself for doing. Like, for example, right, one of my friends would be like, oh, let's go out for drinks or whatever. And I kind of didn't really want to do it, but sometimes I'd be like, yeah, all right, I'll just go. Well, why didn't you really want to go out for drinks? No, why did you do it, actually? Instead of saying why don't you want to do something, why did you do that thing? The things that you actually do. Because everything else is a hypothetical. Oh, I wasn't going to do this, or I was going to do that. That's a hypothetical. The things that you actually do. Why did you go out to drink? Oh, well, I went out because it was Friday. What does that mean? Oh, well, I had a really long week. Why did you have a long week? And then sometimes you really didn't have a long week. It just sound good. And I got down to the root of a lot of stuff and I realized I did certain things because I wanted this public opinion of me. And public is also your friends. Like, I didn't want to be seen as that girl that was always in the house, even though sometimes I was. I didn't want to be seen as, even sometimes too, I didn't want to be seen as broke. It sounds crazy, but like sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I went out and I did certain things because people love saying the whole, oh, well, we're only gonna spend $20. We're only gonna spend, even though I sometimes had the money. That's the crazy thing. I had the money, but I just didn't want people to think it was a money thing. Which is crazy. I worried so, and I didn't realize at the time, but once you really get down to the root of why did I actually do that thing, it was because I didn't want people to think of me in a certain way. And so since I allowed people's perceptions of me to be such a high value, it decreased my nutrition because I'm going out to drink, staying up late. It decreased my home cooking because who's cooking at home the day after a hangover and the night they go out? It decreased my physical activity because now I'm tired, my body is drained, all this other stuff. I'm not using physical activity, and it decreased my joy and so many other things. And so a lot of times too, with the things that you're actually doing, and also with the things you want to do, but ask yourself why. Why do you want to do this? And the things you've been doing, why do you do what you do? Even where you work, like even for some of these things, why is home environment important to you? Why is finances important to you? Like all these things you possibly can put into the ladder and ask yourself why. And with this, I want you to understand that it's not going to just come and just be easy. I want you to understand that it's going to be a give and a take. Like it took me there are certain things that I'm still trying to do more, right? I got accountability down pretty good, but no, gratitude. I really have gratitude down pretty well, but creativity, that's something that I'm adjusting with. Sometimes, even though I do know it's something that I want to value, there are some times where I do things just to fall in line with how other people do things, or just to, you get what I'm saying, do things because I think this will be perceived better. So I also don't want you to have this mindset of just because I want to change my life, just because I want to do new things, I have to particularly always do it. Like you are changing and you are going to make mistakes for the rest of your life. I tell you that in all my videos. For the rest of your life, you're going to make mistakes. So don't hold yourself to this crazy hierarchy of always doing things perfect. But then also I want you to understand this is important because, and I've said this analogy before, you currently have your life on autopilot. That's why your life is not where you want it to be. You currently have your life on autopilot. And the great analogy of this is you are saying, your life is a car, right? And let's say you put in the GPS and you're like, I want to go to Maryland, and you are in New York. You put in the GPS, let's say you have like a Tesla or something like that, self-driving car. You put the car on autopilot and you go to sleep. When you wake up in Ohio, right? I'm trying to think of something that's out of the way. If you wake up in Ohio, and you're like, wait, this is not where I want to be. This is not where I want to be. Instead of you saying, hey, wait, this isn't where I want to be. Let me turn off autopilot. Let me drive the way I want to go. What you do is you go back to sleep, put in Maryland again into the GPS, and then you wake up in Michigan and you're like, wait, why am I even farther away from my destination? That's what you're doing with your life. When you do not have a sense of direction, right? You need this compass, you need this GPS, you need to figure out what do you truly value so you know how to go in that direction. But the first step, like I said, is figure out where you are. Where are you in life? You know you're not happy. You know you don't have joy. You know you don't have all these things. And I also don't want you to think outside external things are going to bring those things to you. But that's a whole other video I probably should create. But if you want to increase these things, you want to increase, the whole point of it, in my opinion, it's supposed to be almost fully drawn in. That's personally my idea of it, right? I don't think everything should be at a 9. Everything should be at a 10. There's certain things I don't care about that much. But for the most part, I think everything should be a 6+. That's how I personally want mine to be. Everything is 6+. And so that's where I want my life to be, right? That's the final point. That's the Maryland, i.e. in this analogy. But if you don't have this, you keep going to sleep. You keep telling yourself you want a better life. You keep telling yourself you want to be happy. You keep telling yourself, but then when it comes time to actually do the action, when it comes time to actually do the work, you want to go to sleep. You want to go to autopilot. Your life is not going to change until you change. Until you consistently on a basis do different things, your life is going to be the same. Just because you watch this video, just because you read a book, just because your life isn't going to change. Your life is going to change by action. And so what do you do? Like I said, your habits come from your values. So I know I said in the beginning of the video that I was going to give you guys like the template. I'm going to tag it below, the template that you can use so you can print it out yourself. I hope that you guys did enjoy this video. And if you like these kind of videos where I brought you on the board, definitely tell me. And as I said in the previous video, if you just need some motivation, you just need some constant consistency as far as, daily affirmations, daily motivation, I definitely recommend to follow me so that you can go to my community page where I post daily motivational quotes 2 times a day, in the morning and in the afternoon, just to keep you motivated and just to keep you in high spirits. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank y'all so much and have a great one.